Hello, I'm Peter Alliss and welcome to Play Golf. In this series I'm going to introduce you to a lot of my professional colleagues and chums and friends who are going to impart their great knowledge to you. And also joining me will be 4 amateurs. First, Malcolm Routh, off 8. Malcolm Erskine, off 21. Duncan Lowe, a youngster with a handicap of 11. And the prettiest of them all, Pat Garland, off 13. Well, this series, hopefully, is going to take you right from the basics of the game of golf, right up to the higher educational level, and I hope there's going to be something in it for everyone. Golf, of course, isn't always played in the sunshine, as you'll see in a moment, but let's get right down to basics, start at the beginning, come with us and play golf. Golf is really a fascinating game. I think one of the most fascinating, but then you might think I'm a little bit biased, and I probably am. To many people, it's a good walk spoilt. To others, they can't understand why sane and sensible people should be out under these conditions, whacking a little white ball about until it disappears in a hole. But whether you love it or hate it, I think it's one of the greatest character builders of them all. We don't want to gallop ahead too strongly or too fast, but I would like to just make the point, in my opinion, you can't start playing golf really well unless you have a good grip. The hands are the only thing that control the club or hold the club. This is all that hits the ball, and that has no feelings. So unless you get that in the right position, the chances of you improving are really second to none. 3 basic golf grips. You've got to decide which is the best one for you. Short, stubby fingers, long, thin ones, short, fat ones. You can get grips to suit your hand size. This is what you're professionals for. Go along and see him. Get as many things right before you start. That's the best way I know of learning this game. The 3 basic grips, well, the most popular one, the Varden grip, little finger right hand, laps over the first finger of the left hand. Before you do that, make sure the club fits across the bottom of the fingers. Hand closes over here. Get the thumb against that joint. Don't leave any gaps. Make sure that the fingers all fit nicely together. See how the fingers gripping nicely? This thumb is a good support at the top of the backswing. I can support it on that finger and thumb. If I move that thumb across, it does rather tend to give that effect, loose at the top, or the piccolo grip as it's more popularly called. So left hand nice and firm, right finger goes on, hooks round the first finger of the left hand, and again nicely in the bottom of the fingers, trigger that forefinger there, just like firing a gun. Put the thumb, the right thumb, on the left-hand side of the shaft and squeeze the fingers all together. That's the Varden grip. Now, all these grips that I'm going to show you now, the 3, basically, they are in one respect the same. It's to get both hands to work as one unit to control the club head. That's the only thing that hits the ball. Varden grip, now the baseball grip, that's just, again, no fingers overlapping or interlocking, nicely down in the bottom of the finger, so, and again, the backs of the hand more or less away from the target and away from the target that way, working as one unit. Interlocking grip, first finger left hand, little finger right, and together, crossed over, and then hooked together so. But you'll notice all the time the club in the bottom of the fingers, squeezing there, and the hand going over. The thumb, left thumb, fits underneath the butt there, that meaty part of the right hand, right under there, and locks together. Get the one that suits you. Go and find out from your professional which one he recommends, and the thickness of grip. So now let's line up the shot we have to play. Many theories, many ideas, many tips have been put forward on this score. I still think the old firing the rifle one is as good as any. Now, I presume many of you would know how to fire a rifle, or at least pick one up and aim it. And the fact is that you would go there and the left shoulder would be slightly out of a line. Now, if we look from back here to the flag, you'll see if you would see immediately there if my left shoulder was in the way. Now, if I move myself round a little bit, doesn't look too bad, but in fact, all this left side now is blocked out, and I'm probably aiming, if I let the body go a bit, straight into the tree, some 20 or 30 yards right of the target. So here we do our rifle routine, left shoulder, left hip, feet just slightly open to the left of the target, because remember, as the body turns, the club comes back and hits through to the target. Before we line up, though, where do we have the ball? Over the years, again, theories have been put forward. Here's a driver and a 4-iron. Now, in the old days, I had an idea that as the clubs got shorter, so you move the ball back an inch or so at a time. So here's the driver, the ball farthest away, opposite the left heel, and the theory that used to be that you moved forward every time the club got shorter and shorter. You see, well, eventually some people could end up here. Now, you've got no chance of hitting that ball from that position. So it's not my idea, my father's great theory, as a very good teacher, was the magic triangle, he used to call it. That is, the ball always opposite the left heel, always in the same position. Here you see the driver, here you see a 4-iron, here you see a 9-iron. All you do, in fact, is move the left foot nearer to the ball, up and down that line as the club gets shorter, and bring the right foot into the left. So there we have the driver, that position. There we have the 4-iron, coming a little bit closer, there, and a little bit narrower, and the 9-iron bringing the right foot into the left, just to ease the ball away for a little chip shot. Very simple, very easy to manage, not too complex, not too difficult. As you get better, you'll find that you need to adjust the ball position for certain specific shots, into the wind, side hill lies, downhill lies, but we'll come on to all that later. We're just trying to get you away in a sensible, easy position to hit the ball through to the target. So we've selected our grip. Remember, the one that suits us. We've got the ball opposite the left heel. We're a comfortable distance from the ball. Golf, remember, is a game where you need to be comfortable. Everything needs to be 50-50. If you walk a bit sort of 10 to 2-ish, that's the way you should stand to the ball. If you have one foot out and one foot square, that tends to lock that side of your body, but you have no resistance here. So you're swiveling about and all sorts of weird and wonderful things happen. So 50-50, easy does it. Ball forward. Remember firing the rifle. Left shoulder out of the way. Left hip, left knee is just slightly left of target. Remember, again, the backswing, at the top of the backswing, the club needs to point at the target. If we come inside too much, if we're badly aligned, say we're aiming to the right, this is an exaggeration, and I swing inside too much. Now look where the angle of club is at the top of the backswing. Miles off targets, pointing in the woods somewhere. Now the reverse of that, standing far too open, I pick the club up like an axe. Now look where it is, miles offline again. So I get myself in a position where the ball is hittable, opposite the left heel, knees nicely flexed, shoulders out of the way. I'm now in a position looking at the ball with both eyes to draw the club back and point the club at the target at the top of the backswing. Point the club at the target. Now from here I bring it down, throw the club head through to the target, and hopefully we get a nice high follow through. Easy leg position, ball opposite the left heel, and straight through, and that's a hole in one. Well, nearly. Now we've got our friends with us here, the two Malcolms, young Duncan and Pat, and I think Duncan, come in. Young Duncan Lowe, he's just come down to 11 handicap. That's pretty good stuff. Eh? Now, what club have you got there, Duncan? 7-iron. Well, don't hit it first. Let's just see you line up. Just line up for the flag, and let's get a view from the back. Put the club to the ball. Now, this is an interesting one. He's nearly got it right. You'll notice how square his feet are, and he's tending to aim a little bit to the right. So if he comes inside, slightly on the backswing, moves his body a little bit forward, he's going to tend, if anything, perhaps to block that ball down the right-hand side. So just don't get too square, just ease that off just half an inch or so. Don't get the hands too low. Use your height. You're not a big chap yet, so use all the height you've got. That's good. Good, now that's a nice, easy position. Now just give it a couple of swings from there. Oh, lovely shot. Now just settle again, just settle again. Remember, you'll learn more from hitting 12 golf balls if you think what you're doing than 100 without proper thought. Easy does it. Malcolm, 21 handicap. Does that feel good? Feels good, eh?
Yeah, good bad.
Now then, I'm just going to lay that club down, and I think from this position here, just come back with me now, I think you can see where that club is in relation to the flag. Now just come back here and we'll have a look what the viewers at home are seeing. Now look where that is. You see? Really, you need to be somewhere along that sort of line, right? That's ball opposite the left heel, feet slightly open so you can hit through to the target. Now come out and line up along that club. Don't get too close, feel comfortable. You could go even a little bit more left than that. Good, good. Now don't crowd it, don't get your knees too stiff, just relax. You know, you've seen all those great skiers and water skiers, get those knees nicely relaxed. Now then, come on, if you can just let the arms and club go from there. Nearly, a bit flat-footed. You see that? How you finish the swing and you sort of right foot in the bucket of cement, which isn't a good sign. Now, each time, move away and start again. You see, it's no good being rooted to the same spot every time. Come up each time, a fresh alignment, a fresh feeling. You're still aiming a shade right. Good. See that? And you've got your right, don't move, you see, you've got your right leg going into the shot. You've got a little bit of movement there down below, which is good. A little bit of movement in the legs. Same again, move away and come back again. Watch that foot position. Get the ball comfortable. I'm going to move this away this time. And feel comfortable, that's half the battle. Watch the ball and let it go. Ah, you got a little bit over the top, a little bit stuffy. You've got something to work on there. Swings that last, well, that's a fascinating subject in itself, isn't it? Roberto Di Vincenzo, Billy Casper, Arnold Palmer, Di Reese, Gene Donald, John Panton. I'm sure you've seen them many times before. But what does a swing that lasts really mean? I suppose some might say, well, it's keeping the competitive edge, the will to want to go out and compete with the younger element. But I really think there's a little bit more to it than that. A lot of it, of course, is balance and rhythm and timing and an early assessment of the game and an ability to play within oneself. I suppose many of you must have at your own golf clubs a member that's been single figures for 20, 30, 40, 50, sometimes even 60 years. They regularly go around in less than their age, and one marvels why. Usually, they seem to be the pretty square-on types, shortish swing, but always getting through to the target, and you can see that they must have had a touch of class about them years ago. But I think there's even more to it than that. We've talked about rhythm and balance often enough, but I do believe that it really does play a big part. For example, I've got 3 clubs here, a 7, 8, and 9 iron. It's a blustery day here at Downfield. We're some 110 yards from the green. And I'll just show you how I shall hit balls onto this green with these 3 clubs, not really altering the swing much at all, but all the shots going the same distance. I think this is an art that youngsters perhaps don't learn, or perhaps they don't feel the need for it today. They're rather automated. You see them marking off the yardages from this point to the green, so it must be a 9 iron or it must be a 4 iron. Sometimes, unfortunately, they get the wrong marker or the wrong tree and they blast it 80 yards over the green, and then in the press room afterwards they say, well, my caddy got the wrong sprinkler head or the wrong tree. They've forgotten to use these, I think, and assess the distance. So here we go, first of all, a 9 iron, simple shot, Wind, as we say, gusting away from the right. A nice easy swing, just trying to accelerate there, through to the target. Just pitches on the front and eases its way up. Now we'll take an 8-iron. Same swing, same length of swing. Knees nicely flexed. Just on to the target. And finally, the 7-iron. Much straighter blade, of course, but the same principles apply. Easy swing through, pushing the ball forward to the target. Now, I believe all these great players we've seen, Thompson, De Vicenzo, Casper, all of them, Sneed, had the ability to control the flight of the ball. There's a marvellous story told about Christy O'Connor some 10 or 15 years ago. He was out playing with a young chap, and when asked by the youngster what club he'd taken on one particular shot, he said, oh, it was a 5-iron. And the young fellow said, well, I got there with a 7. And O'Connor just called him back quietly, took a few balls out of the bag, and from that spot proceeded to put a ball on the green with every club in the bag, including a driver from the fairway. That's class. That's what we're talking about. That's why swings last.
Now John Panton, and a chance to view his balance and rhythm. Turn away, through, easy follow through. Perfect.
This is a 7-iron. You'll notice his grip. Hands working together, not showing too many knuckles. Lining up nice and easy, 3/4 backswing. Good turn of the shoulders. Straight through down the fairway. Good balance, not trying to force. John's always used clubs with a very stiff shaft, but light heads. Peter Thompson, I think it was, who said you could do far more with light clubs with a stiff shaft than things weighing a ton. So there's 3 nice, easy 7-iron shots for John Panton. Remember, these are, at least the shorter irons, are the accuracy clubs. It really doesn't matter whether you get on the green with a 6 or a 7 or an 8. The great thing is to get on the green near the pin. Now John changes to a 5-iron. Same principles apply. Easy swing, back and forward, down the fairway. Just getting the feel of the club, holding it in the fingers. See how those fingers are squeezing the shaft. Knees nicely bent, easy turn, club on line and right through. John could probably hit the ball another 10 or 15 yards further if he were to just put a bit more beef into it, but why bother?
Watch how still he remains here. Rather like the top of a jar, screwing into the bottle, straight back and through, head still, and again, a good follow-through.
Panton, of course, many times Ryder Cup player, Scottish champion, winner of many professional events throughout Great Britain and Europe. Professional at the Glenbervie Club near Larbert. This is a 3-iron. See, the swing hasn't changed at all. The clubs have altered the swing, slightly longer shaft, different angle on the club, flatter lie, standing a little bit further away, but basically it all remains the same. The head remains steady, shoulders turn, arms work, back and through. We'll get a chance here to watch from behind and see how John's club is on the target, aiming down towards the big tree, back on line, down and through. And now finally, John's having 3 shots with a 3-wood. Panton has very thin grips, which are pretty well the same thickness all the way down.
You see the simplicity of that. Of course, there's been a little thickening of the waistline over the years, and perhaps the swing has got a little shorter, but basically it's simple. Sound grip, nice easy ball position up on the left heel, head still. Arms going straight away back, the whole right side, hips and shoulder turning away, hands staying together with the extra length of shaft, legs coming in smoothly, head still, and again, look at that fine balance. Hours and hours of practice, of course, have helped build up this swing, but basically it's based on simplicity. A nice high finish and good balance, and that is why this particular swing has lasted so well.
It's a nice shot.
That's a beautiful shot.
Have another one just to see if what we can see again. Yeah. Very well. There's one or two little things there. Just address the ball again. You're inclined to have the hands behind a little bit and this high, you see. With an iron shot, you want the hands just slightly ahead of the ball because you're going to hit a descending ball and you want the hands to be there at impact. So if you're addressing them there before the shot, you're going to compromise to get your hands there. So if you try and just keep them ahead there, that'll help it. And you'll be able to descending blow instead of when you're behind, you're going to scoop it up. And the other little thing I would say is you tend to just crouch over a little bit. Use your height. You know, bend, flex the knees just a fraction, and use your height a little bit. If you get down here, because it tends to make you drop down, and then you've got to come up and fluff a little. So if you can stay up and turn, you're going to hit forward more. Understand? Hands there.
Let's see another one.
There. Keep the hands forward. And just, that's it. Keep the back straighter. Keep up. Hands just there, you see. Not there, you see, because you don't want them there at impact. You want them there. So as you can slightly hit the ball in the downswing.
That's a nice one, Duncan.
Yeah.
And now Jean Donald, along with Wanda Morgan, Jessie Valentine, pioneer of women's professional golf in the British Isles. She's hitting a 9-iron, nicely positioned. Quite a long swing, Jean, really nips at the ball. You see the very fast hand and club head action as she actually hits the ball. There. Was a long hitter in her youth. I had the great pleasure of playing with her many times in the Sunningdale foursomes, and in fact winning it with her as my partner a couple of times. What fun they were. It's a 6-iron. Ball nicely forward, good grip, you see, no loosening of the fingers, good turn of the shoulders, right through to the target. I always think that many men could learn a lot from watching women's golf.
Come on now, let's see you, Malcolm. Oh, that's a nice shot, actually. But I would say, if I may, that you don't use your legs enough. You're a bit wooden in the legs, and I think actually your stance is a wee bit narrow. I think you could just widen it a wee bit more. And then if you use your legs more, and then you want to pivot more too, get your hips out. Yes, that's better. Oopsie, that hasn't done much good, has it? I think really you also, when you swing, you're leaving your heel, your left heel on the ground. Now you could lift your left heel up a bit. Yes, you want to get it there, not up like that, but like that. Take your left heel off the ground, that's right. Hit that, that's better. What about you, Pat? Can we just see you? Now, Pat, I would think that you have got a very slight hooker's grip. Your right hand's too far underneath here, like that, and actually you don't overlap. I think you're better if you can overlap. It'll stop that right hand from coming underneath. Yes, and get your... That's better. And your swinging, you see, because you've got a slight hooker's grip, your swing is round there instead of being up there. You want to get more upright. And you're very quick. You want to swing a bit slower. And keep your left arm straight. Get your thumb a little more over. That's better. And stand up. Yes, it's still very, very quick at the top and a bit floppy at the top. And you're still a wee bit flat. Now, try and firm it up. You're sort of like this. That's what you look like, which is perhaps not very polite of me, but never mind. But just firm it up a bit. And slower, much, much slower. Slowly. That's better, much better. Good shot.
Remember, when you first stand on the first tee, you're on your own with your golf game, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. And every shot, whether it's a 300-yard drive or a little putt like that carelessly you backhand, counts as one stroke. So do take your time to prepare. Perhaps some of you have been working in an office all week, holding nothing heavier than a cup of coffee or a fountain pen. Well, you can't expect to rush out and wield one of these and hit one straight down the middle of the fairway. I know I can't, and many of my professional colleagues wouldn't take too many bets that they could do just that. So just take your time. Select a nice even spot to tee up. So many people sometimes tee up in a hole, knobs behind the ball, etc. Make sure you have a nice level bit of ground, a nice uniform tee height. Perhaps tee it up a little bit higher than you normally would, just to give yourself a little bit of confidence to hit that ball away. Again, check as many things before you start. A nice, comfortable grip. If you manage to have a few looseners in the club net behind the caddy shed, so much the better. Here again, a good grip, nice, easy stance to the ball, nicely relaxed. Try and start the first few inches of the swing nice and easily with rhythm and build up to a nice swing and follow through. Think of driving a car. You don't get in and let the clutch out quickly. It's all stop and start. So smoothly at the beginning, back and through. Easy does it. Knees nicely relaxed. Look at the ball with both eyes. And away she goes. Our four amateurs are here on the tee with one of Scotland's foremost teaching professionals. It's David Hush from North Berwick.
Fine, good. If you just like to gather around here, we'll have a look at you first, Malcolm. Now, you have a practice swing without the ball first. That's it. Now, in and address the ball again. Now, that's quite good. Your setup there's quite good. Your position of the ball's okay. You've got the ball on your left heel. You see how crouched down you are? You're way down there over the ball. Your hands are too low, and this is going to make it difficult for you to get any width on your backswing. Now, I would like to see you with your hands just a little bit more up there as against down, up there, and keep these arms together. So you're inclined to get your arms splayed and the hands too low. Therefore, when you go back, you've got difficulty in getting any height in your swing. Your swings, you take it back again. That's it. Now you see how close and narrow in here you are. You've got to really try and get you up here with a bit more width in your swing to hit the ball that little bit further. Now, if you hold the club, I'll take it back for you. Now, hands just up a little bit more. That's you. Now you hold the club and I'll take it back. Now it's a movement of your hands, your shoulders and your hips. They all turn together, they all turn in one piece. Round and turn and up to there. Now the backswing's completed when that left shoulder is under your chin. That's it there, that's quite a good position now. But keep these hands up, not quite so tight. Down again. Now you see when you're holding the golf club there, you're holding the golf club like grim death. You're holding it so tight that as a result your arms are getting all tense and tight. Now, just relax that grip a bit, not too tight, firmly but not tight. That's you. Now from there, get some width and up to there, that's it. Now that's a better turn and your hands are a bit higher. Put them out there, that's it. Down again. So, that's your hands, your shoulders and your hips, they all turn together wide. Now don't break these wrists too quickly. From there, drag the head back that way, that's it. And then let them up. That's you. Now try a practice swing like that without the ball first. Round you go, that's it. Now, let me see your club just now. If you just stand over there, I'll show you from here. Now when you're coming down, once we get to that position, I want to see you really release that club head. Throw the club head at the ball. See, you're very inclined. You're down here, that way. Your arms are too splayed, and it's very tight and tense. And then you're really steering the ball and holding on to the shot. You've got to release that club head much more. From there, from the top of the swing, stay behind the golf ball and sling the head at the ball. It's a right-handed shot. There's a right-handed uppercut to hit that golf ball away. When you come down there, it's a right-handed uppercut that hits the golf ball. You're getting narrow in here, and then you're very tight and tense on it there. In other words, you're steering the golf ball. Your swing's quite good. Rely on your swing. Keep plenty width, and give it a right-hand uppercut up there after the shot. Now, let's see you try that. Now, that's stand up to the ball. Don't get yourself crouched over it. Now, not too tight a grip. Don't grip it too tight. That's it. Hands just a little bit higher. Now, round you go. Swing it up. That's a bit better. That's a solider strike. Well, we'll have a look at Pat, I think, now. You come in, we'll see what you can do. Now, you have a couple of practice swings, first of all, till we see what you... Good. Try another one. Fine. Well, you've got quite good club head speed. Your speed of the club head at the ball is pretty good for a lady. Now you give it another swing. This time stop at the top of your swing and don't come down. Just back and stop at the top. That's good. Now, you can see from there how you've moved back there slightly, but your hips are not really turned, and you're not high enough as well. Now down again. Now you hold it and I'll take it back for you. Now when you're going back, you're inclined on the backswing to want to stick your left knee out that way on most of your shots, and that keeps you hanging over the ball, doesn't allow yourself back and round. Now I want to see you coming in on that left knee, comes in behind the golf ball, which allows you to turn your shoulders and your hips. Now let's try it again. Now when you're addressing the ball, always have your feet slightly out. That's it, slightly out the way. Never have them dead square, because then if you go into the ball with any power at all, you'll go over on your ankle. Slightly out with your feet that way. That's good. Now from there, when you go back, that left knee comes in behind the golf ball, round and in behind the golf ball. That's it. Now that gives you a little bit more height, your shoulders are turned and your hips are turned, and then you're in a position from there to swing the head right out through the ball, because you've got good club head speed, which is nice to see a lady with, because normally the ladies get up there and they're just inclined to let the club fall on it. But you've got a nice bit of club head speed there, and if you get the lower half of your body working as well, you'll hit that ball for miles. Now, let's try that at the ball. That's it, feet slightly out, that's good. Now that left knee comes in behind the ball, plenty of time, back and round. That's it, now work your feet. Good. That's a good swing, that's better. Now, what we'll do is, I'll just go through a couple of shots to try and let you see what I would do with the driver. Now, a couple of points I've made there to you. First of all, to Malcolm about releasing the club head and letting the club head go at the bottom there. See, if you've got a good swing to the top there, if you're in the correct position at the top of the swing, the chances are you'll hit a good shot. Most of the faults in the golf swings come in the backswing. So if you're in a bad position up there, the chances are you're going to hit a bad shot anyway. So let's assume that we're correct up there. Therefore, the only way we're going to get a bad shot now really is by completely quitting on the shot and not letting the club head go right out through the ball. As I say, all you need to play this golf game is once you have a reasonable swing, is big hands, big feet and a big head, and that goes a long way to hitting this golf ball. So I've got the big feet and the big hands there, so if I can get the big head as well and rely on my swing and go right out through that shot, the chances are we'll hit a good one. And all things being correct, then release that club head at the ball. It should go straight. There we go. Now, as you can see on that one, I've really released that club head at the bottom. As I said to you earlier, it's a right-hand uppercut.
Well, David Hush demonstrating quite admirably the art of hitting the ball with the club head. That's the only thing that really makes contact with the ball, so make sure you use it. But before we leave the tee, let's just see what you can do here. So many people rush onto the tee, tee the ball up, put it in a hole on top of a hump, don't even see if the ground is smooth behind the ball, so that when they draw the club back, it hits a little frozen worm cast or a lump and throws it offline. You've got 2 clubs lengths, remember. Driver, longest club in the bag, you can take it back that far, and then surely you can find a level space in this area. Also important, if you've got trouble down, say, the right-hand side of the fairway, tee up on the right-hand end of the tee and aim away from it. Aim into the wide part, the safe part of the course. Try and get as many things correct before you start. And this, from the tee, should surely be one of them, if not the most important shot in golf. But let's move down the fairway and let's play on from there. Who better to show us how to play fairway woods and irons than Greg Norman, the young Australian who won the World Match Play Championship in 1980.
Great looking shot from Greg Norman, right to the heart of the green, plummets down. Great effort from such a range, and gives us a chance to have another look at that swing in slow motion. A super grip, good poise and posture, arms and hands together. Not a long swing, 3/4. Now watch the legs driving through, head still, club head thrown right through the ball.
You keep doing that and holding the putts, you might make a bob or two, Greg. I'd like you to meet Malcolm Rather. Malcolm, come and meet Greg. Malcolm, who's 8 handicap, member here at Downfield.
Malcolm, how are you?
Malcolm's pretty good with the old fairway woods. And Malcolm, what about hitting a couple and letting Greg and I watch that vastly improving swing?
We hope.
Yes, you can whip that down there. Oh, well, that's not too bad, Malcolm. But, Greg, you were watching Malcolm there. What thoughts do you have when you're playing these fairway wood shots, which is such a vital part, isn't it, in the game of golf?
It certainly is, yeah. I think with fairway woods especially, you've got to keep your rhythm as smooth as you possibly can, because there's more room for error, because you're not with the driver where you've got room with the ball being teed up. I think with a fairway where the ball is nestling down all the time, you've got to keep it consistent or a nice smooth rhythm all the time.
It's rather like driving a car, isn't it? You get in and you accelerate and you go
That's
through,
right.
and you build up. The backswing is just a means of getting poised.
That's right.
To
Get
bring the
yourself in
club
position,
down,
yes.
and then sweep through. I think Malcolm tends sometimes to get a bit too fast here,
Yeah.
pulls him back off his, back onto his right foot, and then loses himself during the actual swing.
true.
Let's
Yeah.
just see you again. Just talk us through your swing again, Greg, and, you know, just the sort of pointers you feel. Now, you're lining up. Now,
Well-
you usually look from behind?
When I line up, I normally look at an object about 6-8 feet in front of me to line up, which makes it a lot easier to line your body up with an object in front of you close than with the flag, say, 250 yards away. So that's the principal idea, that I get behind the ball, look at an object there, and I can see it there. And then I set myself up to that thing first with the club head there, and place it down. And normally I try and set myself a little bit open than normal, because with a fairway wood you've got to give yourself room to come into the shot. And this way here you can come into the shot a lot easier, come in behind it.
I think an interesting thing here too for viewers at home is Greg's grip. He's a powerful man, but this is probably one of the best looking grips I've seen for a long time. Not too many knuckles showing here, 2.5. Good trigger of the first finger here on the right hand. This part can really apply some power, and that's a really nice, tight, solid looking grip. Looks super. And you'll notice the Varden grip.
Yes, that's right. So that's the main principle in the idea, Malcolm. If you can address yourself a little bit open with these type of shots, so you give yourself room to come into the ball, you see. So address the ball, looking at that mark there, and then you set yourself up, and then you think nothing else but rhythm.
That looks
Little
right
bit
on the
better.
target. That's right on the target, Greg. What a lovely shot. You see that, Malcolm?
Yes.
A little bit of hard work and endeavour. You can approach that, but I'm sure you've learnt something there. Nice turn, hands working nicely, although hits the ball very hard, hits it with rhythm. Hard but slow, right? Hard but slow, with the punch coming in exactly the right place there. Well, from the violent power of Greg Norman, we turn to the delightful attractiveness of Sandra Needham, Scottish Ladies Champion, 1976. Sandra, welcome. Well, nice to see you. And a very impressive opening there, I must say. 205 yards to the pin with a 4-wood. That's pretty good for a wee tot.
Thank you.
So, Sandra, let's show the viewers your swing here. And what are you thinking about now? You've got a wind right to left. You're 205, 206 yards to the actual flag. Now, what are you trying to do? What are your thoughts here when you come up to this shot?
Well, quite frankly, when I'm trying to hit a shot like this, all I do is I try to stand squarely to the line of flight.
Yeah?
And then I just try to take a nice swing. That's
Yeah.
really all. I'm trying to hit the ball straight.
I think an interesting feature here is Sandra's grip. We've just been watching Greg Norman and we talked about his hand position, which was very good indeed, just showing 2, maybe 2.5 knuckles, and Sandra's is pretty well the same. Now, the great American professional Judy Rankin has a very fierce left-hand grip. It's over here somewhere, and who can argue with that, because she's been immensely successful. But I think this is one of the best-looking grips I've seen for a long time. Here again, triggering the right forefinger, getting some power into it. That looks very good, Sandra, indeed. Let's just see a nice swing there. Notice, too, that you keep the swing nice and wide as at the takeaway and sort of sweeping the ball away.
Yes, I always try to do that.
Right, well, let's see you bang that one up towards the green. You notice Sandra's good turn, wide swing, and a good long follow-through, not hurrying anywhere. Oh, that's a beautiful hit. Down, just skirting the bunkers, and that'll go onto the edge of the green. Oh, very good shot indeed.
Okay.
Oh, that's not bad, Pat. Now, this is a par 5, and it's an interesting one, I think. Do you sometimes get here and think, well, what's the best thing for me to do? Should I sort of take an iron and lay up and then an 8-iron onto the green and try and get my par 5 that way, or will I have a go with a wood? Basically, do you sort of play it the same every time you come to this hole, or do you sometimes, you know, you've hit a good drive up to here, say, and you've got the 2 bunkers on the left, the bunker on the right?
I tend to play a wood.
You're going to give it a wood. Good girl. Come on then, let's see that nice wood. Remember, the wind's from the right, so it'll come across. If anything, it'll go away to the left, but the pin's sort of middle right-hand side. So always look about you and see what's going on, where the flag is, how the wind's blowing.
the terrain in front of you. You know, don't always just see one sort of blinkered shot. I reckon you want to aim this just on the right corner, as Sandra did before. Right corner to allow for the wind and gives you the widest margin for error. Well, you got away with that. The view from behind was very shut. You were very shut in here. You were almost in your own way. This left foot was sort of well ahead and you were a bit there, came very much inside and over the top, and you got it a bit out of that back end, didn't you?
Yes.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. Let's ask Sandra to join us now, and let's have a look at you two girls, because I think, Sandra, come and stand next to Pat, and both of you just stand there and address the ball straight on, side by side. Good, 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 good. Now, I think you'll agree there are some quite different parts to these two girls here. You see, Pat is very square on. Shoulders are very square. She's done that. There's no question of being here, a little bit right shoulder down, as Sandra is. That's the first very noticeable thing. Pat's arm, the right arm here, is almost over the top of the left, so that also tends to bring the right shoulder up and almost, again, in your own way. So the right arm wants to be underneath. You see how that is? With Sandra, I can put the club pretty well under there, whereas with Pat, you see, I've got to sort of go in here like Dr. Hook to get in there. So you see, Pat, how your right arm has climbed up over the top of your left. You're not settling in behind the ball. This is very good here, which is, well, of course, as we would expect from an international player. So watch that right arm, because it's pulling your right shoulder over the top. Now look at the grip. Pat has got a pretty good grip indeed, but the hands are tending to be a little bit behind the ball there, whereas Sandra's are pretty well straight on. We don't want to exaggerate that too much. Exaggerating anything is a fault. Remember that. That's a fault, that's a fault. So we want to be just right. So Pat, you've got to get your hands a little bit more forward, and we've got to try and get a little bit down there. Again, with your feet. Pat's feet, when she's actually hitting the ball, this foot seems to be too much this way. This one, just turn it in a bit, Pat, to exaggerate. That's it. You see, that's an exaggeration of Pat's feet at the address. Now, you'll notice Sandra's are nicely at 10 to 2, which is the way probably she walks. I think a lot of people read books and, you know, they see photographs, particularly people like Lee Trevino, who rather tends to stand with his left foot out, ball well forward. He reaches far after the ball, long and low through here. But it's amazing how many people you do find that walk either 5 to 1 or 10 to 2, but when they come to hit the golf ball, there are all sorts of funny ways of putting their feet, which makes it much more difficult for them to play. I remember once years ago, Henry Cotton, who was then at the peak of his fame, said that everyone should rather play pigeon-toed, put the feet in a little bit like that and lock the knees. Well, many people tried it, and chiropractors were kept busy for years until somebody noticed that Henry Cotton, in fact, walked a little bit that way. Come on, Pat, we'll just see you hit a couple more and see whether we can get that, thanks, Sandra, whether we can get you into a little bit better position. All these things take time to learn. And the one thing about golf is usually you've got to get worse before you can get better. There's no sort of, you know, there's no magic wand that you can do that with and all of a sudden you spring out and win championships. It's hard work and a lot of tears. But do you feel now what I mean about that arm over there? See, really, we ought to be that way. See? We ought to be that way. There, right? That's a slight exaggeration. That, of course, would be a fault. That's a fault. Now, that's more or less your position here. And you aim right, you're aiming too far right of the target, and consequently, you're in here and out of you know, you get in your own way here. You're in here and tend to come over the top. Just try and ease round a little bit more, left, just come round. Watch the feet, see, watch the feet. Just put them down as you would normally. Get a good base. Everything must have a good foundation. Now let that club head easily away and then crack it in at the ball. Oh, what a star. What an absolute star. Long iron play is a rather specialised business. And over the years, I've been very privileged to see a lot of great, great long iron players.
Jack Nicklaus, of course, one of the greatest one-iron exponents I've ever seen. Arnold Palmer in his heyday. Brian Barnes of Scotland, who is tremendous with the one-iron. And I suppose it's become a great piece of the modern golfer's armoury, particularly at the professional level, the one-iron. Used off a tee, can hit the ball 220, 30 yards, pretty well under control every time. As most of you, I'm sure, know, a driver, a 2-iron, a 1-iron, a 3-iron are probably the most difficult clubs in the bag to use. That's because of the length of shaft and the lack of loft. So why struggle on manfully trying to hit a 2 or a 3-iron if it's just beyond your capabilities? You know, you're no less manly and you're still kind to your dear old mum, even if you can't use the 2-iron. Why not a 4-wood, a 5-wood, a 6-wood? And some great manufacturer, whose name shall remain nameless, makes a full set of clubs in woods. Well, that's maybe a little bit exotic, but it just shows you what can be done. So don't forget the 5 or the 6 wood for the 200-yard shots or the 180-yard shots. If it works for you, use it. I've got a 4-iron here, and I'm just going to endeavour to get the old blood moving through the veins and hit these up towards the green. See, notice again, nice stance, not too wide. That's too wide, that's too narrow. Nice and comfortable. Ball opposite the left heel. Hands just about level with the club head. Head up, looking at the ball with both eyes. Start it easy backswing, 3/4, and try and get a nice follow-through right onto the target.
Oh, that was a nice, easy swing. Floating right towards the flag, and not bad at all. Keep that one. Now Greg Norman with a 5-iron. Straightforward shot, right at the pin. But what would he do, I wonder, if he wanted to move the ball from left to right?
When I address the ball, I try and play a little bit further forward. And I'll aim at the flagpole, but address my club head at the green, at the target there I wanted to finish. And I'll just make a normal swing at it. I think people get into the wrong frame of mind when they want to cut the ball. They try and change their swing, like take it on the outside and cut across it. I think if you try and keep to the same swing all the time, you can reduce the amount of error.
Well, Greg, come on, let's see you sort of aim it now on the flagpole. Club face just held open a little bit at the address.
Yes.
Eh?
Just a fraction bit open so we can...
And then just a normal swing, eh?
Just try and manipulate the ball in there.
There she goes, just moving 6 or 7 yards left to right. I was cutting up, finishing on the front edge of the green. Now let's say you want to play one the other way. Just bring it in right to left. Now, what are your thoughts there? You stood left with the blade open before. Now, what are you going to do this time?
Same sort of principle. You just aim a little bit further right and just normal swing, and the ball should just shut the club face a little bit, and the ball should just come around.
You just let it ease around.
Its way around, yeah.
Right. Yeah, there she comes. Right onto the green.